Accountability has become a central determinant of legitimacy in the nonprofit sector. Unlike private corporations, accountable primarily to shareholders, or state agencies accountable to electorates, nonprofits operate within a far more complex structure of obligations. Stakeholders are numerous, expectations are diverse, and legitimacy is inherently fragile. In this environment, accountability is not a peripheral administrative requirement. It is a structural mechanism that sustains public trust, donor confidence, and mission integrity. When accountability fails, credibility erodes quickly, weakening the social contract between organizations and the communities they are intended to serve. The literature distinguishes between instrumental accountability and intrinsic accountability. Instrumental accountability emphasizes compliance, reporting, and resource management. Intrinsic accountability is rooted in ethics, responsibility, and commitment to communities. These dimensions often coexist in tension. Organizations must navigate donor requirements while remaining faithful to moral obligations toward beneficiaries. Several theoretical perspectives clarify this complexity. Principal-agent theory conceptualizes accountability as a contractual mechanism designed to align organizational actors with donor expectations and prevent mission drift. Stewardship theory, by contrast, emphasizes trust and intrinsic motivation, presenting managers as mission-aligned rather than opportunistic. Stakeholder theory broadens the field of responsibility to include beneficiaries, staff, governments, and communities. Legitimacy theory situates accountability within the pursuit of social acceptance and institutional survival. Together, these frameworks reveal accountability as multidimensional and contested. It is not a single reporting procedure, but an ongoing negotiation between control, trust, and social recognition. Recent crises have amplified this tension. High-profile cases of financial mismanagement, ethical misconduct, and aid diversion have exposed the fragility of public trust in the sector. In response, compliance mechanisms have been strengthened through tighter regulation and more rigorous donor reporting requirements. Yet compliance alone has not restored legitimacy. Oversight may deter misconduct, but it cannot cultivate ethical practice or rebuild stakeholder confidence. These crises demonstrate that accountability cannot be reduced to technical reporting. It requires a systemic approach that integrates procedural safeguards with ethical reflection and stakeholder inclusion. Accountability also operates as a negotiation of power. Donor-driven accountability frequently prioritizes upward reporting, reinforcing asymmetries between funders and communities. In such configurations, organizations may become more responsive to financial oversight than to beneficiary needs. Participatory and rights-based approaches attempt to rebalance this structure. They privilege community voices and reframe accountability as empowerment and justice. This shift highlights that accountability is not merely about information disclosure. It is about whose standards prevail, whose voices are heard, and whose authority is recognized. Understanding accountability as political as well as procedural is essential for designing equitable governance systems. The practical challenge for nonprofits lies in balancing multiple and sometimes conflicting accountabilities. Instrumental mechanisms provide control and transparency, but risk bureaucratization and donor dominance. Intrinsic approaches strengthen trust and moral legitimacy, but may lack enforceability. Hybrid frameworks are therefore necessary. Effective accountability systems embed compliance mechanisms while institutionalizing participatory, ethical, and downward-facing forms of oversight. Emerging innovations increasingly combine digital transparency tools, community scorecards, and co-created monitoring systems. These instruments attempt to align efficiency with justice and donor expectations with community empowerment. Ultimately, accountability in the nonprofit sector is not a singular process, but a multidimensional negotiation of compliance, ethics, and power. Moving beyond procedural reporting toward participatory and intrinsic forms of accountability is essential for sustaining legitimacy. For scholars, this underscores the importance of integrating governance theory with political and ethical analysis. For practitioners, it highlights the need to design accountability frameworks that are credible to donors while empowering to communities. Accountability should not be understood as a burden. Properly designed, it is a strategic resource that strengthens organizational resilience, enhances legitimacy, and maximizes mission impact.